Hi, welcome back to my channel, The Little Green Car. I'm sure glad you could stop by for a little chat. And I'm going to show you what I've been working on this past week. It's a 41 Chevy pickup that I started talking about last week. But first I thought I'd mention a few things about having your private space and what leads to that. When you first get married and you both have jobs that you go to, maybe it's my wife's a school teacher, I was a truck driver, but I could have been an electrician or a plumber or stayed a meat cutter. Whatever it is you do, you go to your jobs and, you know, you 9 to 5 job, whatever it is. Here in Montana, there's no big commute anywhere, whether you live in Billings or Bozeman, Missoula, Great Falls, Butte, or Helena, which are the major cities in the state. Maybe if you live within the city limits of those towns, your commute is only probably anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. It isn't like living in LA where commute can be half hour or 2.5 hours depending upon where you live and the traffic flow, and same with Chicago or New York, Atlanta, Georgia. The big major metropolitan areas, those poor people, they commute for hours. And when they get home, they got to deal with kids and all the things that everybody has to deal with. So consequently, if you have hobbies that you like to do, you just don't have the time to spend on them. I mean, I know when my kids were growing up, I wanted to be available to them in the evenings for whether it was concerts or ball games. Both my kids were pretty athletic and active in sports, so there was ball games to go to, softball for my daughter and football and basketball and track for my son, and they're real active in that. So we did that, and there's all kinds of things that occupy your time, so you don't have time to spend on hobbies or whatever it is you do. You get married and you both kind of have your separate lives. Well, when you retire, guess what? You are together 24/7. And you might think that, well, when you first got married, that would be kind of desirable. But as I've been married for 57 years. Togetherness is fine and dandy, but if you're together all the time, it can wear on each other's nerves. So I think it's important. If you're going to have a hobby or do something, you need to have your own space. And that holds true for both men and women. I mean, women like, there's all kinds of things that women like to do. My wife loves to cook, so the kitchen is her domain, and that's what she loves to do. She likes to do that, and she likes to read. I have a spare bedroom that I've made into my office where I can go and hide out if I need to do that, but also just to get away and work on models. And I find that having that space is critically important to our relationship, because has 57 years been easy? Absolutely not. And I don't think anybody that's been married for that long would say that it is. But if it's worthwhile, you work at it and you work out your problems, and because we all have problems that we have to deal with. But I think that my wife and I have found a happy medium and we get along very well. But it hasn't been a bed of roses, and I don't think that anybody's long-term relationship with anybody is a bed of roses. Whether it's a friendship between two men or two women, or you're going to have disagreements and you're going to disagree on all kinds of things. But if it's a friendship worth keeping, you kind of you try to work those things out. And but that's about all I'll say about that. But yeah, find a space where you can go. This video is not about me or what I like to do. It's about trying to get people my age motivated to do something, to become a better model maker. Maybe they like to do leather work. I mean, I'm going to do a leather project here, maybe next time or the one after that. I'm going to start on that once I get this, pickup done, and dabble in that a little. I really enjoyed leather work. I did it quite a bit, but that again has been 50 years since I did any of that kind of stuff. Or woodworking. Now, I've made canes and walking sticks on and off over the years, and I really enjoy it. And I've done that while I was driving truck. I'd get a piece of wood, and when I was, sit down somewhere for, 10 hours or maybe a restart, I'd have time to whittle away on it with a pocket knife and stuff. and so I've kind of stayed up with that. But there's all kinds of hobbies that men and women have that they'd like to do, and they could, they need to find a space and a place where they can do that. And I think that's critically important. Now, I'm not a model maker by any stretch of the imagination, but I found that, after, last one I did was probably over 50 years ago, that, I get impatient. And here's an example of something I, kind of screwed up a little bit. I don't know if you can see it, but I had to sand that down because I'd oversprayed, put too much paint on it. I, should have let it, put a lighter coat on it and let it dry. But I think it's turning out pretty well, and I think I'm going to be very satisfied with the end result because, it's coming along the way I'd like. Here's the frame that it's got the axles on it, and the wheels are going to go on it. The engine, I've put the engine together with all the little pieces, and that'll get put on there, and radiator and the body and stuff, and I should have that done by next week. But no, it's kind of a labor of love. I find that I really enjoy doing it, and much more so than I thought I would. And I find that it takes up a lot of my time. It's certainly better than sitting around on my duff watching TV and getting angry at the news. I'm not going to get into politics. All I'll say about that is that I'm a pretty blue boy in a very red state, and that can lead to some pretty interesting discussions. But I still, I've got friends that politically we're at opposite ends of the spectrum, but we work it out. We don't get mad at each other, and we just agree to disagree. And I think that's a good way to look at a lot of that stuff. But anyway, getting back to my model, I'm really enjoying doing this. And the purpose of my videos is to get somebody else involved. If they live in a part of the country where get a GoPro or get your cell phone out there and take pictures, post them online. I'd like to see what other parts of the country look like. I've seen, been all over the lower 48, and there's beautiful parts in every part of the country. Every state has something recommended that people in other parts of the country don't know anything about. And I think it's a person can share that or share knowledge of hobbies that you like to do. Whether it's stamp collecting or woodworking or leather craft or, any number of things. Maybe you like to work on old cars. I used to love to do that, but my back and my knees have gotten to the point where it's hard for me to get up and down and crawl underneath vehicles. So I don't do that anymore, but I sure liked to do it when I was younger. I restored that old 41 Chevy pickup, and I worked on lots of cars that I had over the years, 58 Chevy and 49 Mercury and any number of cars, 55 Fords that I've had, that I wished I'd kept. But I just enjoyed working on cars and doing that kind of stuff. But, you get to the point where you can't do it. I like to ride motorcycles. I love motorcycles. I've ridden them all my life, but my back has gotten so that I don't balance very good on a motorcycle. Well, if you don't have good balance, you got no business on two wheels. That's all there is to it. So you have to give some of that stuff up as you get older. But model making, something I enjoy doing. I enjoyed it when I was young, and I still enjoy it. And there's numbers of models. I made a lot of model boats and ships, and I really enjoyed it. I think the next model I make, I'm going to try to get a sailing schooner. They're beautiful lines, and I think I built one years ago, a Gertrude L. Thiebaud, which is a really well-known sailing schooner. And I built the Constitution and a Mutiny on the Bounty ship and a Flying Cloud and USS Constitution, Missouri battleship, bunch of destroyers, all that kind of stuff. And I just loved doing it, and so it's something that's fun and enjoyable, and I can show you, what I do. But like I say, I'm not an expert at this, and it's not a purpose of this video to show people really. I have to figure things out. And like, with anything in life, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And I find that, a lot of the skills that I had are still with me, even though it's 50 years since I made a model. I can still do it, and I think I do a pretty decent job. So, but anyway, that's about all I have to rattle on about this week. But tune in again next week, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you want to be notified when I have another video coming out. I'd sure love to hear from you, whether it's good things or bad things. I mean, if you don't like what I'm doing, then let me know and I can change it. I'm pretty thick-skinned. I don't get my feelings hurt easily. So, I'd like to hear both the good and the bad. And if you have something that you'd like me to, give a try, please tell me, and I'll be happy to do that. Anyway, that's all for this video. We'll see you next week.